Hello everyone. It's Monika Plemikos here, clinical hypnotherapist and psychology practitioner and facilitator of The Good Therapist. So thank you so much for joining me today. I thought I'd share with you some insights today about consultations and why and how you can do those consultations without actually doing therapy. So if you're watching and if you're seeing this, please say hello. Let me know that I can that you're hearing me loud and clear. So essentially, there is this theory out there that you must give away your therapy in order for people to get a feel for it and to experience what you have to offer. And so that's not my personal philosophy. I personally do consultations and I do free consultations. And I do that because I am selective in terms of who I choose to take on as a client. And I want to make sure that we're a right match. All right. Because I don't think, therapy wise, I don't think you should just go to anyone. All right. I think that if you're going to be sharing deeply personal things, that you're going to be, talking about things like depression and anxiety and habits and addictions, that that it should be with someone that you resonate with, that you feel is right for you, that is aligned with you, and that doesn't just come from the client's perspective, but I believe it also comes from the practitioner's perspective as well. So, early in my career, I couldn't always choose who I wanted to have as a client. And that's going back to, being a social worker and also working for different organizations and companies. And so I didn't have that luxury. And I guess, now I feel very fortunate in being able to have my own practice and run things how I want to, that now I can actually select who I want as a client. And so I provide those free consultations in order to suss them out, and to weed out the ones that I don't think would be suitable, or I just don't feel there's something that's kind of not aligned. And so I want to save them the hassle. I want to save me the hassle. And we do that through this kind of like a filtering process, and that is the consultation. So one school of thought is you give away some free stuff and do some therapy with a client, and then they'll become a client of yours. If you want to continue doing that, I'm not going to say no, but that's definitely not how I do things, because I find it more valuable. I find it more valuable to really understand the client, and this is why I do consultations rather than therapy. I find it much more beneficial, and the client finds it much more beneficial to understand where the client's coming from in terms of their background, their history, the presenting issues, what they're struggling with, and also where they would like to be. I find that information crucial. And what ends up happening is that when you're reflecting this back to the client, it gives them an indication that you really understand them, right? And at this stage, you haven't kind of, gone into depth with anything. You haven't tried to solve anything. You're simply listening. Yep, okay. So you're telling me, you're having panic attacks on a regular basis. And when did that first start? And is there anything else? And anything else? And anything else? Okay, cool. So I've got that. So you've told me you're experiencing this, and this, and this. Is that right? And they're like, yeah, okay. And so at this point, you haven't really you haven't done anything magical. You just listened, and you've provided a space for them to really list and unpack all of the things that are going on for them that they would like help and assistance with. Okay, and so this gives you a chance. This gives you a chance as a practitioner to go, oh, you know what? They've said that they want, say, help with something that you're not familiar with, right? And you go, oh, I haven't actually worked with that before, or maybe there's a diagnosis that there's a some sort of contraindication with the therapy that you provide that you can't work with. And so by listening and understanding the client, what they're saying, and taking some history, some medical history too, then that gives you information to be able to say, yes, I can work with them. I do feel equipped. I do feel I have the knowledge and expertise. And then you can actually move on to the next step. So I hope that's making sense for you guys, but this is kind of like the logic and the reason that I see. And in the process of this discussion and talking, also what's happening is that it's actually building rapport between yourself and your client. Yeah, just by having this listening, feeding back, it's building that rapport, because potentially you might be the only person that they've spoken to about their problems and about their issues. All right, so the fact that you're spending this time with them, whether it be 15 minutes, whether it be half an hour, whether it be an hour, and really sitting with them to hear them out, that's actually a therapeutic process within itself. Yeah, listening and feeding back. And, they're, and like I said, that actually builds rapport. So just that act alone of feeding back and understanding gives them that insight that you do understand what they're going through, because you're asking them, have I got that right? And you don't need to actually solve any problems, because this is just a consultation. Okay, but what I would say is that how you would provide that consultation and how you would provide them and communicate to them what you know, and that you can actually help them, is to actually demonstrate an understanding of the problem that they're going through. So they've told you their issue, tick, you believe that you can help them. The next stage is really about communicating to them that yes, you can help. And you don't actually just say, yes, I can help you. because that's actually not believable coming from you. It's not believable. Yeah, I can do that. Sure, no worries. What works better and what is more effective is to actually demonstrate understanding of their issue, yeah, and provide some sort of hypothetical or some sort of reasoning as to how that may have come up, right? And I say that because today I had 4 consultations, and during those consultations I heard the exact same words spoken by all 4 people, and I described to them the hypothetical in terms of how I perceived what was happening for them had arose. So it may have been through childhood factors, it may have been through all of these incidents and events, may have been cumulative. And so I explained to them, look, I go, so this and this have happened, and that is because, potentially, I'll say potentially that could be because X, Y, Z. Or look, there may be a link between this and this. Yeah. Or more often than not, I talk about the conscious and subconscious mind and how patterns and processes are developed. And the words that came out of all four people was, okay, that makes sense. Yep, I think you're right. That makes sense. That makes sense. I didn't say, yes, that's it. Yep, that's definitely in spot. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. And so you're offering them a possibility, offering them a possible way of how things have come up for them and how this challenge has come to be and how they've kind of gotten to this stage of whatever it is. It could be depression, anxiety, could be nail biting, could be smoking, could be what have you. But you kind of paint the picture for them, like this and plus this equals, hey presto, where you're at. And they're like, yes, okay, that makes sense. And because you've made sense to them and they can logically follow their behavior, thoughts, everything like that, and you're helping them see that, yeah, then with that same logic and reason, they're going to be expecting that you have the solution for them too. Yeah, with the same reasoning, they're going to expect that because you know about the past stuff, that you're going to know and have some insight into the future stuff and what to do there. And this is why you don't need to provide therapy on the as a consultation. If you demonstrate understanding their issue, then logically they are going to look to you to help them with a solution. Okay, you're giving them the why it's come up and what it is, but you're not giving them the how in terms of the steps. That's to be reserved for your paid programs and sessions and products and services. So this is where you can get away with sharing your IP. You can share your insights, you can share what you believe and how things come up, and models and constructs and metaphors and all that kind of stuff. But in terms of taking them through a specific process, that's reserved, and it is in my programs definitely is reserved for the paid sessions. Okay, so let me check in with you guys. How are you doing with all that? Is this making sense? Is this resonating? Is this part of what you do, or do you use another strategy? I'd really love to hear from you in the comments below. So what if, after all that, they say no? That's obviously the question mark. What if they say no? After all that, you've demonstrated understanding, and you've given them a hypothetical as to why that is, and you've offered them, this is what I think the solution should be, and work with me on resolving this in this way, and they say no. So they say no because at some level they don't believe it's going to work for them. Yeah, they think that they're the exception to the rule, or they don't believe you, or they don't believe you. Yeah, so it's either them or you. And this no's come up in a lot of different ways. They come up with, oh no, sorry, I can't afford it, or no, I'm gonna test this other therapy out first and see how I go with that, or I'm not that bad yet. That's a good one. Yeah, so they either don't believe you, or they don't think it will work for them. So if that's coming up for you, then I'd encourage you to look at how you can incorporate more of understanding their issue and building that rapport during the consultations, and because that's going to boost your credibility as well when you can articulate clearly that thorough understanding of their issue. Yeah. Because they're going to be nodding their head and they're going, yeah, that's right, that's exactly what's happening. Oh, yes, I totally get that. Yep. Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense. So when you get the yes, that makes sense, that means that they're understanding you and that rapport is there, and you're demonstrating that professionalism. Yeah, you're demonstrating that expertise that you have. You're demonstrating that, hey, this is not the first person with XYZ issue that that has presented for a consultation, that you see this all the time. Okay, that's what they really want to know. Do you, and sometimes I'll ask about, oh, so, have you seen anyone else like with this same kind of thing? And I say to them all the time. I say, this is my 9 to 5 job every day, and I see these kind of things all the time. I specialize in anxiety and panic, and I said that this is the top 1 or 2 issues that I see every single day. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, because you've got to reassure them that that you have and that you are experienced in dealing with this type of thing, this issue that they're experiencing, because obviously they're coming to you because they are not equipped with a solution. They're looking to you for the solution, and you need to clearly articulate what that solution is without actually giving them the how-to steps. Yeah, so what we have to do is understand this, and this, and work out the strategy of doing this, and and then the next step is this, and this. Yeah, so I hope that's been helpful in terms of why you should give consultations instead of therapy, because it will help build more rapport, and to demonstrate understanding of your client, right? And another reason is also that if you give therapy on that first session, there's that chance that that client will say, oh, that didn't work, and so it didn't work, and so therefore I'm not going to continue, and they've totally disregarded that they may need more sessions. Yeah, so you open yourself up to rejection. You open yourself up to that therapy being rejected, and that whole system that you have, that being rejected by the client, going, oh no, it didn't work, I don't think. Yeah, if they don't get those instant results. So I hope that's been helpful in with your consultations. Hope you've taken something out of that, so that you can implement in your kind of consultation, whether you have a script or a kind of system that you go through, is to firstly really understand the client, make sure that it is an issue that you feel comfortable in working with, and if not, refer on, and also ensure that you get a sense that you can help them, that there is some rapport, and that you kind of are aligned with that client's value system as well. Because sometimes, on the surface, you go, yeah, well, I do help people with stress and anxiety and what have you, but sometimes you just don't click with the client, and that can make it really hard for you to work with them, and it can sometimes feel like you're kind of having to drag them over the line, but if you utilize that consultation to kind of suss all that out, then you're saving not only the client's time, but your time and potential frustration. So hope that's been helpful. That's all from me from now. If you've any other questions about consultations or in terms of how you do them, please post it in here, and I'll do my best to answer them as soon as I can. All right, take care and bye for now.